boys and girls weather report for June 29th, 2022. And I apologize, Decil Wrong is here.
Filling in for the girly man.
We're just so right most of the time that we needed some more wrong to balance things out.
Yeah, we needed some wrong.
Well, if you had to choose between Decil and Gur, who would you choose?
It's a hard choice.
God,
Yeah, that's tough.
I don't see why you guys need more wrong when you're playing Jordan Peterson today.
Well, we just need somebody who's aware of how wrong he is. And it sounds like you're passionate about it.
So Andrew, did you want to talk about this metamorphism?
Well, do you have something you want to say first, or we're just going to jump into it?
I have no content at all. This is like a contentless channel.
This is almost like a Friday shit show.
Oh, but it's Wednesday.
Oh,
right. It's a Wednesday whack-a-mole show.
Oh, you're going to share it for me?
I'm going to try to pump it up a little bit. There you go. Trying to pump it up.
Can you go down to the part where it says grade, or it mentions graded? Yeah, there we go. Okay. And can you zoom in on that diagram there? Pretty please.
I can try. Try. Yeah, okay. Is this the thing about rocks cracking? So George Bond said that. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. Context here. Basically, George Bond. In that that video about the geologic column, he mentioned the whole soft. Lost Decil.
Oh, he'll come back. His internet's probably bad.
Oh, okay. So yeah, in the video, basically, he talked about the soft sediment deformation and how this proves they must have been wet and flowing, and they could have only bent in a catastrophic worldwide flood. And right. Basically, point for props here. He does give the a semi-decent, let's just say, explanation. Oh, there he is. Of the how geologists typically explain these bent rock strata, which is either say rock deformation due to the strata just slowly, gradually crashing against each other, for lack of a better word. There's probably a better word to this kind of the shifting against each other, and just under this extreme heat and pressure, deforming, because experiments show that given enough heat and pressure, you can actually deform rocks either in a brittle way where there are fractures, for example, which
we do see.
Despite what Andrew Snelling says, we do see these fractures, because turns out he took a picture, I believe, of what he said weren't any fractures. Orge's here. Hey, Orge. Maybe
is that the one where he had somebody standing in front of the
right? Yeah, that was. He basically had this really zoomed out picture that didn't show any fractures, but when you actually look at it real close, the fractures are all there.
Yeah,
about the bending rocks.
There was one picture where they actually had somebody standing in front of the most pronounced fracture.
Yeah.
So that didn't look like it.
So they covered it up basically. Yeah. So, but anyways, well, George Bond, after mentioning all that, basically talks about what Andrew Snelling says about the metamorphism here, or I should say the lack thereof, according to him. Specifically, he points out the Tapete sandstone, which was, according to the sites that I looked at, deposited around 10,000 feet underneath other sediments, so about 3 kilometers, give or take. Basically, what you can see from this graph here is that there are different grades or levels of metamorphism. So just adding heat and pressure to a rock, depending on its composition, of course, isn't going to automatically have it recrystallize and create metamorphic rock. There are different grades, different levels of it, and it depends on the heat, the pressure, and the composition of the rock. Now you can see here, if you look to the right of this graph or this figure, it shows the depth of the sediment you're looking at in kilometers. And basically you can look, okay, oh, here we go. Basically you can look at the few, oh, hey, David. So many people today, yay. Basically, you can kind of look at the, say, 3 kilometers to the right, and on the top side of the figure, you get the temperature in degrees Celsius, and you see that if it was buried at a depth that we think it was, then it would have reached a temperature of, I think the estimates are about 100, 120 degrees Celsius, which is, as the figure shows, in the Abiogenesis range, which is technically not enough heat and pressure usually to undergo even low-grade metamorphism for most rocks. Typically for that, you need about 200 degrees Celsius and more heat and pressure than that typically. So yeah, what Andrew Snelling showed that, oh, there's no evidence of metamorphism here. Well, no one said there'd be any metamorphism to begin with in the Tipete sandstone, which is where he got these samples from. So anyway, that's what I want to say about that initially. Do you have anything to add on to that, Jorge? Thanks for showing up, by the way.
Yeah, no problem. I had mouth surgery recently, so my voice is kind of weird. Sorry about that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Everything you said is basically correct. Is this about the bending of the rocks of the Grand Canyon? Is that what we're talking about here?
Yeah. The 90-degree folds, basically, that George Bond talked about.
I'm a video on that topic, actually. I'll post it in the side chat. I found an excellent rebuttal. It's a PDF, so you have to download it. I found an excellent rebuttal to basically the vast majority of these topics, and the paper does a fantastic job. So I think it was just someone's like side gig. They just got bored, so they wanted to trash all over Snelling. But yeah, what you're saying is exactly right. He's claiming victory over things that no one else is claiming. So,
right.
Oh yeah, I got a question for you.
Sure.
Is the reason that you drink so much beer because you're trying to hit rock bottom?
No.
Funny.
That was a really corny joke.
Oh, I got it.
Fridays are the only chance I get. Yeah, I'm a parent. I'm working full time, so I don't really get to go out and party anymore.
Well, we appreciate any time you can give us today. So.
Yeah, you too, David. Is Wednesday your golf day? Is that why you're with us today?
No, I had to jump in because I had to ask people, what the hell did you do to Sal? What did you got them all wound up? What happened?
What did I do?
Womanize and degrading Christian women like you do.
Yeah, well, I had a conversation with Rebekah, and right after that, I named my stream
I know
an autopsy of a peaceful conversation with Rebekah.
You're just degrading Christian women like that. It's just,
I know. I
mean, your character on, how you doing business online is.
I know.
I mean, it's just.
I should be. I got to be canceled. You got to cancel me.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Oh yeah. Did Sal say anything about the abio evolution? What the topic's going to be yet?
He hasn't got back to me yet, but anyway, I am going to concede that all prokaryotes were created by God 1.5 billion years ago or 2 billion years ago.
Yeah.
Well, that'll end that.
I don't know if you guys are aware, but he's doing he's doing a video today.
Oh, is he?
And yes, and he was going to do it like what did he call it? Like a rehearsal for you guys' debate with Rebekah.
Oh, am I like the star?
Yeah, so what happened is Rebekah's sick, so she can't make it. And he had it scheduled, if I'm not mistaken, I think he had it scheduled for 5 o'clock, the same, or my time, same time as your stream starts. at your
Right.
4 o'clock, and he changed it, and now it's at 6 o'clock. So he's probably listening in right now to listen to anything that we may have to say about this whole thing. And then he's going to stop because he's just going to go on a rant by himself. That's what he.
There it is.
Yeah, there it is, right there. That's it, and it's scheduled, as you can see, for an hour after this show. So he's
God, Andrew,
he's
we are in.
yeah, he's listening in to see if they say anything. Obviously,
we are in so much trouble. He's rehearsing. Yeah. Oh my God! Yep. And we're not close. We haven't rehearsed yet, Andrew.
Yeah, we're done for.
Yeah, you guys are in trouble. And the funny thing is when I first saw the video that he did, basically putting out the challenge, right? The first thing I thought of was, you know what, Speed and Andrew would make a great pair, because he talked about, doing a 2-on-2 because of modern day debates like that, right?
Yep.
Supposedly. Yep. So, and that was, and then you guys did did the weather report or did a show and talked about it, and of course you asked Andrew to be your partner. I said that was perfect, and that was exactly what I thought. I thought you guys would do a great job with that.
Guys, you're making me blush. I appreciate so much of the positive feedback everywhere here.
Well, like you said, Andrew, I mean, as long as the topic is where your strong suits are, I know you're going to do really, really well.
I went to my son's
if
house.
The topic was solely abile, I would screw up a lot.
I went to my son's house the other day and I said, "Hey, can we rename our, my youngest grandson to Andrew?" They were opposed to it. I don't know why, but see, they don't know you the way I do.
Oh, so, thanks, Scott.
Just thought I'd throw that in there.
You're making my ego grow by the second here. Okay. So while Orge is still here, there was one other thing I want me and him to talk about, if that's okay, Speed.
Sure.
So kind of going back actually to what we talked about Monday, about the George Bond and the flume experiments. Have you heard of those mud flume experiments to begin with, Orge, or do you know?
Are you talking about not George Bond's not doing the experiments? What the hell's his name? Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about, where they show layering, or they show limestone formation, all that jazz.
Right.
Yeah. So basically, there these experiments that show that, or supposedly violate the law of superposition, which I looked into it. They don't, and B, show that sediments can be deposited rapidly, which we kind of already knew they could be in certain environmental situations. Well, the thing I kind of wanted to get your opinion on was basically these kind of lateral depositional environments. Like, I know there are situations where that can happen. For example, an undersea landslide at the edge of a continental slope, for example. Can it also happen for like a river delta, the kind of flowing into the ocean like that? Or like
big issue
go ahead.
I think I get what you're saying. The big issue with the flume experiments is they have walls. So shit, things are going to deposit vertically if they can't expand out horizontally. That's kind of the only way they have to go. They're not moving fast enough to be flushed out. So since they're in that narrow compartment, they're going to drop down because they're not moving fast enough.
Right.
When actual geologists use flumes, they're not studying they're not studying the same talk, right? A flume experiment would be to see how grains travel or something like that, not necessarily the deposition. And then you hit the nail on the head there when you said sediment deposit. Sediments and sedimentary rock are different, right? One's a rock, one's dirt. No one's saying we can't deposit large amounts of sediments in XYZ fashion, but getting the layering down and retaining that layering through lithification and the formation of the rock is a vastly different thing.
Right.
And to reiterate my initial point, Noah's flood, there wasn't sides where all the water is flowing, right? Water is flowing on more or less flat surfaces.
Sure, yeah.
So the experiment is essentially pointless for that conversation.
Right. Yeah, and I guess the other point I was trying to make is when these situations that are sort of kind of described by these flume experiments, when they do happen, geologists can easily recognize them in the rock record, right?
Well,
like the kind of depositional environment that could have produced them.
Yeah, I think you said the big one right there, which was underwater floods. If you have a pre-existing vertical slope and you have a large amount of material or mass wasting of it happen on that vertical slope, it's going to stay on the vertical slope, like underwater mudslide, like you just said.
Right.
But there's a difference between a small isolated incident like that and rock layers that span half the United States.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
And that's the thing is these creationists, they do it in every single subdivision of science. They'll take a niche example and then claim it backs everything else they've been doing. Well, that's not really the case there, right? Why are you talking about metamorphism with the Depite sandstones when no one's talking about metamorphism? They're the Depite sandstones, not the Depite quartzites for a reason.
Right, exactly, yeah. I guess, what was I going to say? Yeah, and it's also not these experiments, which I think Speed just showed by Guy Bertalt. I may be mispronouncing his name. That's where these original claims originally come from, I believe. But basically, from what I've looked into, like you said, they can explain how these clastic sediments are deposited and sorted by grain size, for example, but they can't explain evaporite deposits or any other kind of chemical precipitation, say in a lake environment, for example. Like that wouldn't naturally be explained, obviously, by these rapidly moving currents, right?
Yeah.
There's so much chemistry they don't explain.
Yeah.
with this model. It just
McKay was the one I was thinking of before. McKay had a big long conversation about how.
Oh, okay, that's the one George actually mentioned, I think, in the video.
He has he had a really funky looking flume he built to try to show limestone formation, and he was cheering about how he's able to get calcium carbonate out of this solution, because he basically poked a bunch of holes and shoved a bunch of calcium in the water, got it super
saturated.
Thank you, saturated.
Okay.
And then he was able to somehow get it back out of solution. It's like, well, no shit. And you didn't make limestone. You just poured something out of solution. That's not impressive. I do that with my fucking tea and sugar every morning.
Right.
So.
Can happen with like salt, for example.
Yep.
Like you said, there's a difference between it being precipitated out into the water and it being actually liquefied and turned into rock all in one instant.
Yeah. Yeah, and then there's crystal distortion, and then there's leaching, and there's just all the process of the rocks cementing together.
Right.
All that happens chemically. There's quartz, veins and quartz deposits, and they must think that for some reason silicon dioxide was like at almost was above saturation level in the ocean, so deposited very rapidly. And I don't even know if you could get enough silicon dioxide.
Right. Because they basically have to explain all these different layers and all the different rock types within them by a single event. And the more I look into it, and I'm sure the more others look into it, as we see these different obvious depositional environments within the rock types, the rock layers themselves, it's just the global flood, to me personally, is just untenable at this point, geologically speaking. And I'm sure it has been for quite some time now.
Yeah. I gotta head out. Thanks for having me on.
All right. See you, Ray. Thanks for talking.
What's going to be on? What did he say?
Oh, he said he got to head out.
He said something's going to be on. I don't know. I'm not sure what's going to be on.
Okay. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks,
because we always enjoy it when you come on and talk rocks and geology as well as atheism.
What was that? You were just scrolling on what you have on the screen there. What is that you have? said Lawrence Krauss. What's the title of that?
This one. This is.
What is that from?
So this is from
Yeah,
Creation.
right. Okay. Okay. From
Lawrence Krauss, in a recent article in the New Yorker magazine, Dr. Lawrence Krauss said people should doubt evolution. Well, to be sure, this is not what Dr. At least they're admitting that this is not what he was saying. An outspoken anti-theist in evolution actually intended, but we rigorously apply what he recommends. Evolution. And what Krauss was saying is that we should doubt all of our science, right?
Yeah. He says that a lot. Yeah,
that's what scientists do.
That sounds like him because I've heard him say that many times.
This is Lawrence Krauss, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, when you were scrolling up and down, I saw that. I'm like, what the hell was that? Where? I didn't know where you got the article that you were reviewing here.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for letting me nerd out about geology for a sec there, Speed, since Jorge was here.
Is there going to be a test on tennis rackets on Cell's channel?
Oh, no.
Yeah, probably.
Okay. I'm just checking. We better do some rehearsing, Andrew.
Yeah.
Some rehearsing. David Berlinski. Okay, so I don't know.
Yeah, I just find it very funny that you've got him triggered. Okay, I want to, I don't really care. I want to put it, obviously we're on live here, and I don't really care what I say about, maybe you guys might want to be careful about what you say about Sal, but I don't really care. I think he's a whiny little bitch, to be honest. I mean, I'm sure you guys probably might agree. I don't know, but
on this channel, on this channel, we allow anybody's opinion.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, for him to get all triggered over that little thing, like you said, you just named your stream that it was in, and I got the analogy, you were just using it that way. It wasn't, you weren't degrading. I don't know how he views it, but it's really, him. He's a little off the wall.
I think he's filling the empty, lonely spaces in his life. White knight and Christian women.
Yeah, surely he isn't twisting it on purpose, Ray.
Yeah. I have a suggestion for Cell. Cell, pray.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Pray for Cell. We're but lost little sinners.
Yep. Ask for God's guidance, Cell, please. Before it gets any worse.
He thinks he's going to put you to rest on this, Speed. So he is going to put you down for the count. He's basically he's going to cancel you right out, destroy you.
Cancel.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Just quickly noting what sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Or I was just gonna say, just noting what Mr. Lizard said in the side chat. Hey, Mr. Lizard. In the 1800s, or probably even earlier than that, 1700s. There were most geologists were flood geologists, basically, or these kind of catastrophists, and it was they, not the evolutionists, quote unquote, who looked at these layers and said, yeah, this can't be from a one global flood. Like maybe it could have been different floods. Some of them might have said that, but like they pretty much concluded that it can't be Noah's flood all down the sequences. Oh yeah, I saw that one too.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Remember the hissy fit with his books? I don't know. Is that the one he's referring to?
That's the one. Yeah.
Oh, that's the same one. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
No mention of Godell's incompleteness.
That was funny.
That's pretty much become a meme at this point, hasn't it?
Yeah. Like you said, Sal, he's so sensitive and he's just whiny, like
he is a sensitive man.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, we're all kind of sensitive on some level, at least.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. But he's, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just a big soft-hearted teddy bear.
That you are, Scott.
Yeah.
I think so.
And we appreciate you for that.
Should we listen to any of this bullshit, or should we go right to this? Let's see, who's this guy? Him. Should we go right to him?
Sure.
Who is him?
I don't know who he is. I just found him. I searched flaws in evolution, and he came up. So, and the name of his video. Now, there's no punctuation in his name. How did flies start to fly? Evolution is flawed. God does exist.
You know, this guy looks familiar. I think I may have seen a video of his. I'm not sure. He looks familiar.
He's got 3 subscribers. So the name of his channel is
maybe it can't be.
God does exist.
Unless he's got.
I know God exists.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, guys.
That's in my mind. I've seen him. If you don't believe I've seen him, then fair enough. You haven't got the knowledge I've got. You haven't lived my life. You don't know nothing about my life. And I'm telling you, God exists. That.
Okay.
Okay. I haven't seen him. No, definitely. This is not the person I was thinking of.
He's got a thing about flies that I thought was amazing.
But I have heard
it important enough that somebody's seen God that nobody even asks, or very rarely asks what I've seen. So if somebody like seen an alien spaceship, they phone up these alien spaceship people and they say, "Oh, I've seen a spaceship," and somebody'd ask. But for some reason, it's not important that I've seen God to anybody. So this really is a message to find out.
Anyway, but
there's a thing called cross replication.
He starts talking.
Really important.
But he was saying that no, even in my church, they just don't care that I saw God, and it's like I don't know.
Anyway, well, there are plenty of churches where people would get all shaky and noisy about it, so he needs to go to some other church.
Yeah.
Or
anyway,
I would recommend maybe going to a hospital rather than a church, but myself,
so this is a
medical help or something.
I think this guy is representative though of a lot of the creationists in side chats on some of the channels, at least as far as the comments I've read. Yeah. Particularly Bubblegum.
If somebody came up to me and said, it was a Thursday night and I was at home alone and feeling kind of down, but then God came to me and said, "Hey, I'm real and I'm on your side, and it may not look like it, from your perspective, but you're going to make it. You're going to be okay. I'm with you." I don't know if I would be tempted to ask, or I don't know if the person would be tempted to ask, hard questions of it or not. But if he just said, and I want to share the same message with you, if he said that to me, and God loves you and He's on your side, and I would not think of the guy as crazy unless he does other things in addition to that to make him a little unsound, such as trying to coerce me to go to his church or to manipulate me to have the same experience as him. I respect other people's experiences, and I won't try to talk them out of it if they don't want me to.
No.
So that part doesn't bother me. It's the therefore no evolution because God came to me last Thursday.
You have to think what I think.
Yeah. Or an insistence that we live our life according to dogma and not to reasonable principles of life.
Would you think that like somebody having such a severe experience like that, or such a dramatic experience, maybe is the best way to say it, wouldn't that be kind of more on the lines of almost like mental breakdown type of thing, or
you would call it that? Yeah.
Obviously a delusion, or what, something.
Possibly.
Sometimes.
Something.
Just depending on how traumatized the person was to begin with.
Yeah.
Right.
Or it would just depend on that as to how how inappropriate it becomes. Maybe everybody can stand to have their own little delusions without everybody making a big deal out of it. It's just what does it do to him? What does it do to other people? Before you have to start trying to bust those delusions. Now, if he goes and tries to pass legislation that affects our lives in a negative way, then obviously you have to speak up.
It's kind of the same thing in other situations, how grandiose the claim is and how much they're trying to push on it. Basically, it's kind of the two big factors.
Yeah, I kind of feel bad for him actually. But okay, let's see. He talks about flies somewhere here.
And delved into things where I think it's quite difficult to find an answer because, as it's been stated to me today, I do look deep within things, like the dots on the eyes. I wouldn't look at the eye, just the eye. I'd look between the spaces of words. I look between the spaces of words. I've actually come up with an invention by looking at the spaces between words. And I thought, well, imagine if you could write a code within the spaces of words, because really they're symbols representing sound. They're symbols representing sound. But that's another video. This video is a question to everybody on the planet. If you manage to get this video in front of you, I would like you to explain to me how a fly or a butterfly managed to fly, because an explanation for flight has already been submitted as believable on the planet. Now, because we've got a submittable clump of information, I couldn't find on the internet something that told me how a fly started to fly. And I can't see myself. I can see that the explanation of flight derives from something that would, well, I don't know really. I only see God, but I don't understand how something could sort of keep jumping in the air and grow wings even over millions of years. But taking away that possibility that something is able to learn to fly over thousands or millions or gazillions of years, when the span of that life from a maggot to a chrysalis transforms in 3 different places, how did that fly learn to fly when schematics and things, even humans, have to use schematics and calculations to get something to fly? So even
anyway, I don't know.
Yeah, poor guy. He obviously needs to do a little studying on his own.
Or humans can just put on wings and fly. I mean, we've done that. You know?
But you know, he isn't too far off of some of the narratives I've heard on Standing for Truth's channel. Like, like, you know, the thing developed in a cocoon in about a week. How did it learn to fly in a week? Right? How did it learn to fly in a week?
Well, that's kind of the same question as how did instincts evolve? Like, how did behaviors evolve, right?
Yep, I don't.
I mean, it's we do have explanations for them.
Yeah. So
I will also note that flight didn't originate independently in flies and every other kind of insect it did.
Yeah.
Probably was inherited.
So this is Mr. Jordan Peterson. I only listened to about a minute of this, but he's teaching a class, and let's see what he says.
Right, and when I went to university, when I started going to university in the 1980s, that was heresy, really. Like, no, you cannot inherit acquired traits, but actually you can inherit acquired traits.
He's talking about
epigenetics.
Epigenetics, yeah.
Oh dear.
That's the field of epigenetics studies that, and that's a radical shift in perspective, because we also don't know exactly what that means across any length of time. And when you're thinking about evolutionary lengths of time, you're thinking about 3.5 billion years, because that's the span of time over which life evolved. And so even things that don't have a overwhelmingly marked potency for one generation can be unbelievably powerful across time. And then there's also the issue of sexual selection, because, you know, you'll hear Darwinists continually describe the world and the evolutionary world as a place of randomness. And that's not true. And I don't know why they make that statement.
We don't make that statement.
Mutations are random or quasi-random, because we don't understand mutations that well yet either. And most mutations are dead, right? Most mutations, there's a set of
them. He
what did he just say?
That we don't understand mutations that well.
Yeah, that's false.
Yeah, and the reason, one of the reasons why he may have just made a false statement is he should be asking questions about maybe how we feel about, evolution, or how we feel about epigenetics because he's a psychologist. He's not a Darwinian,
Right.
or he's not an evolutionary scientist or whatever. He's a freaking psychologist.
He is correct that epigenetic changes can be short-term, inherited across generations, but so far as I can tell, I haven't seen that much evidence that they can be inherited across evolutionary timescales.
Right, and the other thing is those traits are a few biochemical different.
Right, they're pretty small. They're not that significant on a morphological scale.
When did he give this lecture though? Because I know that a bunch of the stuff that he's got online with his like Yale lecture series is all the way from the 90s.
Oh, really?
2018. This is 2018.
So
was it
uploaded? Was it uploaded in 2018, or did he actually give this lecture in 2018?
Uploaded in 2018. So
heard that, yeah. Because I'm willing, even though I don't like Peterson very much, I'm willing to grant him some leeway that if this is one of his courses that took place all the way back in the 90s, it's a different story.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could. Well, is that the last time he taught? I thought he was teaching it like 10 years ago.
Well, look at him in the picture. How old does he look, and what does he look like today? Right? I mean, this is definitely old.
He looks pretty similar.
Right? Look at him.
He looks similar. He looks similar-ish.
Epigenetics.
Yeah, it's not the genie that people think it is.
Yeah. It's not the same thing as Lamarckism. Let's just get that point out of the way.
Obviously not.
Right.
Okay.
I really gotta get back to reading that book you have on a certain website, Speed.
Oh yes, you do. Me too. They kick him up a little bit, 1.2.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Are harmful but not deadly, and then there's a tiny proportion that could, in principle, produce some benefit to the next generation.
Not in principle, we see it.
He got that wrong too. He said most mutations are harmful. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that too.
Environmental shift, say, in the direction of the mutation. So, and there's a randomness element to that. We know.
And he also said that some beneficial mutations allow the next generation some advantage, and that's also not really misunderstanding, because it could be 100 generations, thousands of generations hence, right?
Yeah.
So,
that, I mean, part of the reason that you mutate, or your cells mutate, your DNA mutates, is because of background levels of radioactivity, and a lot of that's a consequence of solar.
Sometimes, but not all the time.
Right. That's
a lot of it is just cells don't copy perfectly.
Right. So he obviously.
Cosmic rays come zipping through the atmosphere, and they nail your DNA and produce minor alterations, and that's a mutation. And if you crank up the background radiation rate, like say around Chernobyl, then the mutation rate rises, and there's definitely a random element to that. And it's necessary for there to be a random element because, as far as I can tell, the only way you can beat a random environment is by producing random changes, right? So, the idea basically that the environment isn't some static place that's selecting for higher and higher levels of fitness, or not in any. It's certainly not doing that in any static way. And so it's shifting around randomly. And then, you have a structure your species has a structure that's a consequence of this immense evolutionary journey, and it's moderating itself randomly within certain parameters, the parameters being that most mutations will kill you, like alterations in your fundamental form generally tend to kill you, so they're incremental. And so the mutations are random.
And anyway, he's doing a little better now, but not. He's still a little strange.
Yeah. Is he talking about like fitness landscapes, or I don't know what he's talking about?
Yeah, he's talking about random mutations against random changes in the environment and whatever. He obviously doesn't have a good. We'll switch over to this guy.
Okay.
This is
okay. Can I
chair?
Okay. Can I just say something?
Go ahead.
Okay. You may hate Jordan Peterson, but for the love of God, make your beds. Okay.
Oh, is that one of his 12 pieces of advice?
Something like that. Yeah.
What, to make your bed? Yeah.
Yes.
He probably stole that from what's his name there, the Navy SEAL. He probably stole that from him.
Well, but I mean, David, by the way, But no, by the way, welcome back, Dave. But there is something to making your bed. That's obviously that's honestly good. You build discipline, as my friend used to say. Discipline. I love the way he pronounces it.
Who was the Navy SEAL?
When you're talking about the SEAL, are you talking about Dave Goggins?
No, I'm talking about who's the what's the commander?
Who the fuck is this mummy?
He was the commander of the Navy SEALs when they killed Osama bin Laden. He was what's his name? I can't remember his name. Not McKinney.
So would they kill Osama bin Laden with a bed sheet or something? What's going on?
No, he was the guy in charge. He was the commander of special forces, or the naval commander during the raid. He basically come up with the plan for the raid for when they killed Osama bin Laden, and he did a big speech. He did a speech at a college, and he said that was a big thing. A part of his speech is you should always make your bed. That was, and I'm telling you, Jordan Peterson stole it. You'd have to watch the video.
I mean,
it was a motivated speech at his college, he did, and it was really good. It was a good speech, and that was one of his sayings. And he was kind of like famous for that.
I think that's a trivial thing, and
well,
the reason why the SEAL said make your bed is because that's their culture. That's the
right
internal culture. And if Jordan Peterson wants to adopt it, that's fine too. But I would look for some deeper things.
But I think he come up with it prior to that, and that saying kind of became famous because I think he made that speech back. When was Osama bin Laden killed? 2011, right?
And don't get me wrong, a well-decorated, tightly made-up bed looks nice.
Oh yeah.
And then the SEAL made that speech, I think, the year after. So he would have made that speech in like 2000. I'm going to say 2013.
I mean, Scott, I would say
he got it from that. I'm just saying.
Well, maybe, but here's the thing: making your bed is something that
it is.
literally anyone could say.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I agree.
Okay, the last time I made my bed was about 60 years ago.
Yeah. Wow, what the hell? Make your bed, Speed.
I got a blanket on my bed. Okay, I got a fucking blanket. I got a pillow. I crawl under that blanket and I go to sleep. That fucking simple. You don't have to make a big deal out of it. It's called sleep.
You don't change your sheets or anything?
Well, yeah, but they'll put the sheets on. But
that's making your bed.
Well, not really. It's just putting a sheet on.
Whatever.
Anyway, yeah. Making your bed would be, putting the blankets on, making them all tucked in and all that bullshit. I don't do that shit. Maybe that's what I'm doing wrong. Maybe that's why Sal Cordova's mad at me.
Oh,
okay.
Look, Covalent Mom's in the chat again. Hello.
I'm speaking from experience because I'm thinking from experience, but making your bed does help to build discipline.
Fuck discipline.
Okay, well, fuck discipline to you too.
What is that for? What do you need that for? You're just gonna fucking live your life and die. You don't need no fucking discipline.
Jesus Christ, you are such a fucking nihilist. What the hell? What happened to you, Speed? I thought you were a Buddhist. Live life to the fullest and all that crap.
Well, you don't need discipline to do that.
Yeah, you do.
Oh no, it gets in the way. Just fucking me that. I'm gonna get
Speed.
What?
Oh.
What?
Can you highlight Covalent Bond's latest comment?
I just did.
So much better
than
the
one was so much better than Kermit.
Way to go.
Hey, Gur, get your ass on here, you Gur mania. I don't know.
I also want to say he said this is his favorite channel. Oh, thanks, Covalent Bond. We appreciate you being here. It means a lot.
Yeah, you're the only one who feels that way, probably.
Yeah, probably.
But we appreciate you nevertheless. So, you want to listen to David Berdinsky?
Sure.
Berdinsky.
Now, who is he and in relation to what?
he is a talking head for a lot of the intelligent designers, and
Oh no.
some kind. I don't know if he's from France or where the fuck he's from, but he's a Yale educated philosopher, and he shoots his mouth off way too much about evolution. So anyway, I thought we'd listen to what his opinion of the flaws in evolution are. So.
Oh, that should be good.
Okay.
Credibility in Darwinism. Can you tell us, because it's worth recapping, what is Darwinian evolution and why you believe we really need to be a little more open-eyed about the claims that rest upon that theory?
You've got an organism.
Oh, I want to preface this, and I've got another video by him that I watched. I don't know if it comes up here, but he insists that the only reason that scientists are finding problems with the climate are because scientists are making money on it. And then he slides over and he starts saying the only reason that biologists study evolution is to get the money, to get the grants, federal grants.
I mean,
really?
Yeah, that's his opinion.
Yeah, I saw an evolutionary biologist the other day lighting a cigar with $20 bills.
Oh yeah.
If I want to make some real money, I just become an evolutionary biologist. That's the big one out there.
I mean, they are rolling in it.
They are rolling. I will see if I can find that other video. It was pretty.
Scaffolding himself at the bottom again.
And he actually did say that. What you do is, like, after you get a grant, you go and have some big dinner or something like that, or go and spend money. Like these grants, like they're just rich when they get these grants. I mean,
he's high.
Yeah. Anyway,
he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. Then again, neither do I, because I never got a grant. So
Wait, is there actually a thing called an appeal to money fallacy?
Probably.
That's cool.
He invented it.
Oh.
And we know that DNA, the genetic code, is really like a book of instructions, modern point.
Nope.
And we know that accidents happen. Sometimes cats become bits, C-A-T-S, B-I-T-S, that sort of thing. Letters change, things are swapped around. That is random mutation. It's random because it's completely uncoupled from what happens to the organism or any causal structure beyond it. It just happens like a roulette. The changes that those random mutations evoke result in changes to the organism. Some may be good, some may be bad. The elephant, who began life as a species with a very short trunk, gradually enlarges the size of his trunk because having a long snout proved extremely valuable out there. The African belt. That's the kind of story that's going. Over a long period of time, these beneficial changes completely change the constitutive structure of an organism, so that a land-dwelling creature, a moose, a cow, something like a wolf, becomes a whale. Just a small, inevitable, inexorable series of continuous changes, progressive changes. And that was Darwin's answer to the question, the origin of the species question. As far as I am concerned, it's a perfectly fine myth or fable. It's got a certain amount of truth to it. Mutations are random. But it is at an enormous distance from
Okay, can I say a few things here?
Look.
Yeah.
Okay, for one thing, Darwin is half right because Darwin didn't actually coin the term or didn't know about mutations. He just called them random variations in the traits, physical, heritable traits of an organism. He didn't know, okay, this DNA sequence.
He didn't even know the mechanism which they happen in, right? That was found by Greg. I'm terrible with names, but you know what I mean, the monk.
Right.
Mendel.
Well, even Gregor Mendel didn't know about mutations or DNA or anything like that. So it took a while to figure that out.
But he figured out genes, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
the genes were the ones that carry traits.
He figured out inheritance.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's listen to this vampire.
We have magnificent examples for the scientific.
That's a mummy, not a vampire.
General relativity. We've got quantum mechanics. We've got the standard model of particle physics. These are rich, deep, detailed accounts of the physical world. You're going to tell me that all of your questions about life are assignable to copying errors in the DNA and lucky breaks out there on the African plains? That's not enough.
No.
Well, you know, yeah, those are kind of the principles, you know. But anyway, he's comparing like, okay, we had this detailed quantum mechanics and all this other stuff in physics and all that shit. But physics doesn't tell us a hell of a lot about what happens during an avalanche.
There's also math and like population genetics too. Like evolution is a completely mathless subject.
Yeah. There's this disconnect when they think about life. Basically, life's a complex stochastic process that happens over vast areas of space, right? Space and time. And
here's what I found.
Oh, shut up! They can't. I mean, there are some mathematical laws that apply to that. Okay, just like there are mathematical laws that would apply to the very small parts of an avalanche, but you can't describe an avalanche with physical formulas. Okay, you're never going to be able to completely describe it in principle, but in practice, no. Okay, and we're dealing with the same thing. But anyway, we'll listen to him. It's that is always a bee in my bonnet. But when they try to say that, you know, life sciences are somehow not equivalent.
Right.
Bullshit.
It's not yeah.
Okay.
We need a rich body, a rich predictive apparatus. You want to know what Darwinian theory really is like? I think there's a fable you can use to illustrate it. Instead of asking about the origin of species, or this species, ask about the origins of the novel, the European novel. Where did War and Peace come from?
Oh my God!
Well,
Wait.
Okay,
What?
this is your fucking Yale graduate, Dazzle.
Wait, ask where War and Peace came from? I'm so confused.
Oh,
yeah, can you turn it up a bit? What do you say?
It's turned up as high as it goes. It's just a video.
Okay.
Were derived ultimately from Don Quixote. They're all descendants of, that was the last common ancestor. Don Quixote was published in Spanish, but this was before the printing press, of course, before the internet.
Is he talking about books?
Yeah.
Monks were charged with the responsibility of copying it from one generation to the next. And in copying, inevitably, they made a few mistakes, changed D to a B, changed the Q to a Z, changed the punctuation. And over a very long period of time, 400 years, all those copying errors changed Don Quixote to War and Peace. Are you satisfied with that answer?
That's what he thinks evolution is.
I mean, he is right on the point that we see languages evolving in the same mechanisms. I mean, like, books don't literally evolve, but like,
right.
if you were to say languages do the same thing, then yeah, he'd be right.
Yeah, and there's no evolver to language.
Right.
There's no intention or purpose.
Right, despite what some people say.
Well, he's talking about copying books. You know, you keep copying.
Yeah, I know.
Quixote, and you'll end up with War and Peace, according to the way he thinks evolution works. Right.
Right. It's like their conception of evolution is kind of the same thing, almost the same thing as what the ancient Greeks had of how evolution might have occurred by purely random forces, like just like a chemical changes producing creatures, and then they kind of survived or didn't survive out in the environment, and then they died, and it's like they think that's what we think evolution is.
I just want something. You know, the only thing I care about when I see this video.
What's that?
The books. The only thing I give a shit about is the books in the background. Okay.
Oh, those are probably copies of the Bible or some fucking thing. This is. I mean,
By the way, I wonder if I should mention this live or wait until we go and wait until we go backstage.
If you have to ask that question, then the answer is yes. You wait till we go backstage.
Okay, fine. I'll wait till we go backstage.
Yeah, if that question pops into your mind, the answer is always backstage. Okay.
Isn't it great to have definite guidance?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Would you spend a lot of time listening to my account of how Dante?
I think Nestle wanted to say something.
Would you give me a whole?
I was just going to add in there, like, I don't really have a problem with him talking about books and making an analogy with, with copying over time versus like evolutionary change. But when he makes the comparison with words and the changes to the manuscripts, an important thing that I've come across is just that genetic sequence shouldn't be looked at in the exact same way as like letter sequence in a word, because if you change the sequences in a word, that will often have a major impact on the meaning or coherence of the term, whereas you can actually change a lot of the genetic sequence without having a significant change.
Right.
And so so there's a difference there, and you shouldn't look at that too literally, because
the DNA isn't literally a language, despite what some people say, for the exact same reason you said, because if you change one of the DNA bases, you're still going to get something like maybe an amino acid change. You'll still get a functional protein, probably. Like the genetic code is much more flexible than our words, for example.
Yes, as far as I understand it, it's highly dependent upon the, like looking at instance by instance, where like a single amino acid change could have a dramatic effect, and then in other cases you could have like an 80% change in a genetic sequence and end up with no difference at all.
Yeah, because if you change like an amino acid in one of the active sites of an enzyme, for example, that's probably going to be a big difference there. But yeah, you can change lots of the different parts of the remainder of the protein, or at least in some, like you said, it all depends on what change and where it happens.
Yep.
Yeah, this is a picture of a consensus sequence that tells you how it really works, and you can see that the GAA and the GTTC are pretty important by their height. But the rest of those things are pretty malleable. And this does not map very well to our language or to words. We can, like, you can screw with words and you can still recognize them to some extent because we're good pattern recognizers. But this is but you'd have a hell of a time reading an entire book if they mutated all the words as much as this little DNA sequence is mutated. So this shows you that, there is a consensus sequence that kind of sort of fits, like a glove fits on a hand, or like a template would fit on some piece of wood or something.
Now, just so our YEC friends don't start going, I don't care about consensus. What is this a consensus of?
Right. Oh, it's called a motif or a consensus sequence. What it means is that the consensus is on this sequence that you need a GAA and you need a GTTC on the other side. And those little letters, little tiny T and A in the middle at like 5, 6, and 7, and 8, and 9, they don't matter as much. If those mutate, this little sequence is still going to be recognized by a protein or by an RNA, or something is going to lock into it nevertheless. Now, it may lock into it 99 or a couple of % less if you modify it. And if you keep modifying, but this sort of tells you what's important in the sequence. And if you look across all of DNA, you'll find very few of these heightened letters that are really, really important. So this is just how you measure the conservation of a sequence of DNA. The ones that are really tiny can mutate without any effect. They're neutral, right? And so that's
kind of a similar thing for general genomic regions overall.
Yeah, so it's just it's not like language at all.
Yeah.
It's not like writing a goddamn book where you would. I mean, if you imagine turning Don Quixote into War and Peace, we're also dealing with all kinds of layers of meaning and stuff, and story coherence and all of that bullshit. And it's just an unfair analogy. It's just a shitty analogy.
Right. Well, I mean, just to add one more layer of complexity onto it, like if you want to make the analogy slightly more realistic, you'd also have to account for more than just, in this case, would be point mutations. You'd also have to copy like entire paragraphs, maybe delete some paragraphs. Like obviously that's going to mess up the book. And sometimes it does for genes, but often it doesn't.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to read something really quick. John joins Dr. David Berlinski to delve deeper into the flaws within Darwin's theory of evolution. Darwin's theory of evolution, in such high esteem within the educational, held in such high esteem within the educational facilities and modern discourse. Okay, right. Wait, who the fuck is this guy anyway? This is Dr. David. What does he teach? What does he do? Does he have does he have an evolutionary background? Who is, like, you know what I mean? I don't know. I know nothing about this man.
He's a Yale-educated philosopher and blowhard who paid.
So he's Danny. So no, wait. He's Danny in the future, is what you're telling me.
Yeah,
he's Danny in the future.
He's a weenie. He's a weenie.
Danny in about 35, 40 years, roughly, something like that.
Yeah, this is Danny in the future. There you go. Danny, please don't turn into this. I have hopes for Danny turning into a seasoned old quiet.
Yeah, I don't think he'll be like that.
Maybe though. Who knows? Okay, let's see what he says.
Whole pile of money to further my research in the transmigration of literary form. I suspect, I can't say with it, but I suspect your answer is, that doesn't sound right. That doesn't have the ring of truth. I think the fact that we can talk about Darwinian theory on this level of naivete, something we could never do with the standard model of particle physics, never, indicates that what we're dealing with is
really
important insights, although I doubt it. We're dealing with a very immature thought structure.
Okay, can I just provide a counterexample here? How many, and like this isn't a perfect analogy, but like how many people out there think that particles are literally tiny balls of energy just floating around? Like you can do this with any scientific field.
Right.
What's his point?
Well, he has a naive understanding of biology and evolution, and he thinks that naive understanding is the theory. He thinks that's what biologists think too.
Right.
And he's kind of projecting that.
Yeah.
Like he is, he's considered a super intelligent, highly educated philosopher, and when he talks, these people listen to him, and unfortunately, he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. And that happens a lot with philosophers, particularly.
Magnificent theoretical.
Shots fired.
I think the figure is not Darwin, but Maxwell, who developed the theory of electromagnetism, gave it a mathematical form at roughly the same time. In addition, it seems to me that Darwinian theory, as Darwin himself expressed it, is crippled by a typical 19th century assumption of continuity. That is, everything is a process of gradual change. Like everyone else, he was deeply impressed with the success of Newtonian.
So what he's kind of saying is that the formulation that Darwin had in the 19th century is one and the same with modern evolutionary theory.
I guess so.
Which is, so he's claiming that the reason that evolution is so naive,
is because we still believe in Darwin, apparently.
Yeah, apparently we all carry Darwin's book around with us, and we should start putting
the standard textbook.
We should start putting copies of or the origins in hotel rooms.
Right. I mean, that's not to say that a good book, and it certainly had some great insights in it, but by no means is it the summary of all evolutionary biology today.
Yeah.
I really hope there is a troll out there who someday puts like Origins into a church pew or something. I would laugh.
Yeah.
I
actually do have Origins around here somewhere.
You should go drop it off the local church, the local Baptist fundamentalist.
Yeah, we need to get those small hip pocket size versions like they have of the New Testament, except it'll be on the origin of species.
Okay, this is a little expensive, but you know what's really funny? You take $100 bill and you put it in one of those Gideon Bibles in a hotel room, and no one ever finds it. It's just fun. It's fun. That's how I have fun. Anyway.
Mechanics and returning mechanics.
I'm sorry. I just want to mention, this is stupid, but I always look in the Bible to see if somebody's cut out the shape of a gun inside of it, or maybe I'll find a gun.
Wow, Scott, what are you telling us? You want a gun?
I watch a lot of gangster movies.
Yeah, well, it happens.
Yep. So I think he's melting. Take a look at his image.
He's melting.
Oh no.
Yeah, what the fuck is this? He's a reptilian. Okay, he's
one of the reptilians.
He's a reptilian. Like, what the fuck?
I'm a little disappointed. We had a young Earth creationist in the side chat here, and I'm a little disappointed. I was going to see if we could maybe take bets on how long it would take Stupid RNG to time him out. But nothing. It's been kind of going a little too slow, so nothing's happening.
Who is our
Peter W? I think is.
Oh, Peter. Okay. Yeah, I saw him.
Peter.
I haven't seen him. He hasn't popped up here for a while.
Yeah, he made the. I haven't seen
I think he probably strolled over here from Rebecca. I think he's a Rebecca.
So wait, are you saying he's a Rebeckian?
Yeah, I think he's a fan of Rebecca's channel, and then
Rebecca was moving, and now she's sick. So is she okay?
She just lost her voice. I think it was just her voice, I guess, or something. I don't know.
Her boys were sick.
That's all it was.
Her voice.
She had
her voice.
She had like a 5-hour stream yesterday. So
right, I think that's what it was from.
And she was really tired by the end of it. So
yeah, and she's been moving, so she's been pretty busy. So that's burning the. Yeah, she's still streaming like crazy, and she's in the process of moving residences. So okay,
it appeals to the end.
What?
Nothing. Are we gonna shoot it in the head, or are we gonna continue watching Grandpa over here make a fool of himself?
We're gonna watch Grandpa until the end, the bitter end.
Okay. This number of small interventions that life makes in order to create the magnificent thing that's an elephant. What is seldom recognized is that on a fundamental level, Darwinian theory really is a theory of the lucky break. It's all random. Biologists will say, well, the mutations are random, but natural selection, which culls the results of mutations and keeps the good, gets rid of the bad, that's deterministic. It's not so. Natural selection in a particular environment.
I wouldn't quite say it's deterministic. It's just not. It's non-random.
Right.
I'm willing to grant what he's saying there. Like, I think by deterministic, he just means non-random. I think he's just
okay. Yeah. In that sense, like I just think like by deterministic here, I mean like literally sorting out individual mutations one by one, like because it is still based on likelihoods, like yeah. But if he's saying deterministic as in non-random, then yeah, it is deterministic.
Here's a good one. Okay, God is punishing her because she's a universalist. She's sick of you guys. That's a good one. She's sick of us.
Yeah, that's kind of messed up, but funny.
After last night's stream, I wouldn't blame her. Did you guys see that?
You need to learn that you just have to.
No, I didn't finish the entire thing. I think I joined, but I didn't stay.
What happened?
It's just like
I didn't see it.
It was an okay conversation. It's just that she kept trying to bring order to the chat, and everybody just kept blowing her off and continuing to talk and just not respecting her as the host. I really didn't like that.
Midnight needs to learn that you just have to let Grandpa yell at the cloud sometimes. You know what, Big Gussie, you were absolutely wrong. I mean, right.
Okay, we have less than 1 minute of this dude to listen to, so let's see what happens.
Okay. Environments, as far as we know, change randomly. So the elephant, in developing a 10-foot trunk, they have had a great success in Africa. But had the elephant been forced to rent a 2-story walk-up in Brooklyn, that 10-foot trunk may not have been such a good thing. We have no general theory.
Right.
What did he just say?
Oh gosh! So it sounds like he was almost going Fodor's route with the whole general theory thing.
Yeah. Well,
right.
he sounded very Fodorian either in this video or the other one I listened to him by.
Yeah, no, and that's a no-go. That's fundamentally just
Did
not.
Somebody say Fedora?
Fedora, yeah, Fedora. That's
well, the way he said it almost seemed like he's acknowledging that environments require different things, right?
Yeah, environments matter.
And so the fact that you can't universalize just one kind of natural selection for all environments is somehow an objection to it, which is ridiculous.
Right.
No.
Exactly.
Yeah. And he points out a really important social problem in New York City. An elephant can't rent in New York City. There's this extreme bias against elephants renting.
Times are rough.
10-story walk-ups. Yeah.
Well, I just want to note that if you could universalize natural selection, then wouldn't that kind of discredit the whole idea to begin with? Because that's the whole point of it, that environments differ.
Right. Yeah. Earlier he was mentioning that there should be some killer law, and so he is a Fodorian.
Yeah.
It's like they just apparently don't get this.
Theory of how environments change or how to pair changes in the environments.
Hold on.
In the organism.
Hold on.
Please. What's a killer law?
A killer law?
Yeah.
Like one law to fit all, like a mathematical law. He said that there should be a law that tells us exactly what's going to happen in evolution.
Yeah, like a comprehensive.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
That doesn't make sense. That's bullshit. Okay, we got 30 seconds.
Let's do
so it's entirely random, and the answer to the origin of the species is, in the end, let's be honest, lucky breaks. That's the way things turned out when the great roulette wheel of life turned.
Yeah, he's a Fodorian. Anyway, I'm done with this.
I mean, if you do want to... Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. Well, if you really want to piss off Sal, he's live now, so you should probably put him on. He's probably ranting about Beat right about now.
Oh, really?
I am curious what he's saying.
If you start at the beginning, you won't be actually live while he's live. You could do something like that.
Yeah, technically, yeah.
And that'll piss him off, and he'll be he's probably ranting and raving about you right about now. I don't know. I haven't gone on
Can I give him a copyright strike for that if he is?
No. He can give you one, but I don't think you can give him one.
I love Icarus's comment here. Just saying, that's the thing I thought of.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. Okay, greetings.
If it's not, and if it's good, let me know. I'm testing an airplane.
Rebekah is on there.
Official Air Force mission software. I had a chance to work on a variety of projects, including the FBI fingerprint on one of my shows. So, I have a variety of co-hosts. Thank you for the.
Rebekah's on there? You said?
No.
Wait. Your audio is kind of
cracky. Cracky.
Wow, that is funny.
Anyway, okay. Enough of that.
Why?
Yeah.
Sal's awesome in his own way.
Oh, he's awesome. Yes, Sal is awesome. Oh, Cell is more fun than most creationists. I'll tell you that. I mean, hell of a lot more fun than John Maddox, who's had one fucking stupid little argument since the beginning, and he hasn't modified it one bit.
Nope.
Information.
Right.
Therefore, premise, information, conclusion. God did it. Yeah, that's it. That's his whole argument. It's like, wait, you forgot about how to justify inference, you know? You forgot the error. Oh,
and
anyway.
Of course, since John is going to be watching this, we're being satirical, obviously.
Yeah.
I love the fact that he's a young earther, you know, he's a yucker, and he won't admit it. He won't bring it up, he won't admit it, he won't argue the point. You know, but
he does talk about the flood when the subject goes up on his after show, though, I think.
Does he?
I think so.
But he never really admits it. He's kind of like all over the place. The only thing he really buckles down on is DNA is a code, and there has to be a coder. Yeah, there has to be a code. You know, I don't think we're being sarcastic. I think that's actually his only argument. I've never heard him argue anything else.
Anything, nothing. He won't go in and get into anything.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's shoot her in the head, guys.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
I loved it when he jumped all over Sal, when Sal misrepresented him about the code or whatever the hell that was funny.
I thought it was just plain fucking cruel and mean-hearted. I mean, he wouldn't let Sal go, even though Sal apologized over and over again.
Yeah, he did. He did. He kept saying he was sorry. I didn't mean to misrepresent you. I thought that.
Yeah, it was just it was very uncomfortable.
Yeah, I love it how they just eat each other alive. I mean, they just so mean to each other. They're more mean to each other than they are to atheists, practically. You know.
Maybe well. This is just speculation, but it's probably because with creationists versus evolutionists, you kind of have what they would call a false or a dichotomy, basically, and it's easier to kind of work with that probably than to say a creationist versus a theistic evolutionist, where one believes in evolution, the other does not, but they're just coming from different biblical backgrounds. So at least in my opinion, this is just speculation, it probably they probably get more irritated because they find it harder, I guess, to make an argument or to kind of the us versus them mentality.
Yeah. Well, I didn't see it, but I guess SFT just did a video taking down Jamie Russell's.
Oh, really?
Geology. Yeah, he just did it. I didn't see it. I saw it come up. You know, I saw the thumbnail.
I also know he goes against Paleologos, I think.
Yeah, well, if they're busy tearing each other apart, then we can grab our evolution books and hug them and sneak off, and they won't notice us.
Yeah.
No, Speed. Geez, Speed, get the popcorn and watch.
Yeah. But don't you love it how everything that SFT does is a total debunking, a total destroying, a total everything is he destroys everybody.
A lot of
no matter what the subject. I mean, you can see, you know, obviously there's so many different subjects.
The man is a genius.
Yeah,
okay.
He
is a genius. He must be protected. Standing for truth. If you're watching, you are a god among men.
Yes,
okay, that hurt me to say.
Yep.
Anyway, guys,
he should be right on God's left side when Jesus is on his right. Right? Is it Jesus on the right? Who's on the left? Forget.
We're shooting it in the head now, but I want to thank everybody out there in chat who showed up.
Bye, all.
It's actually
Thanks for
showing up.
And I appreciate you guys, and I capture all your chat, and I read them in the morning. Anyway, goodbye, cruel world.
Goodbye, cruel world times 10.